alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Great Britain in the West, the Western world, who champions their freedom of speech. A democratic country which we allow you to say whatever you like, whenever you like, however you like.
Okay, that's not what freedom of speech means. Okay, guys, how do you guys want to bet? Ali Dawah is now talking about the hypocrisy of the West, and he's going to talk about a selective form of freedom of speech being enforced in the West. So, how much do you want to bet that Ali Dawah doesn't understand what freedom of speech means, and this video is going to demonstrate his understanding of what freedom of speech is? How much do you guys want to bet? Okay. I mean, I don't know if anybody we're gonna have any takers. All right, let's see.
As long as you are insulting Islam and desecrating the Quran
Oh,
and talking ill about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, yes, but if you dare to criticize our allies,
so he thinks Ali Dawah is saying that freedom of speech in the West is selectively applied. If you criticize Muhammad, if you insult Islam, you have the freedom of speech. But if you are criticizing the allies of Western countries, then freedom of speech is not applied. Guys, can you tell me the problem with that argument? Do you guys understand why he's so stupid? He doesn't understand what he's talking about. But he's going to show us an example, and you'll see it.
the Western world, who champions their freedom of speech, a democratic country which we allow you to say whatever you like, whenever you like, however you like, as long as you are insulting Islam and desecrating the Quran and talking ill about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, yes, but if you dare to criticize our allies, we are strategically consistent, not morally. We want to thank Israel and all of their muppets, yes, and all these bloody clowns who clearly showed their double standards and hypocrisy. This is going to go down in history. Thank you very much for showing you do not believe in democracy, you do not believe in freedom of speech, you do not believe in freedom of movement or freedom to wear. We're going to watch a video now on Talk TV. Look at this individual, Steve, who is wearing the Palestinian scarf. The fact that he was wearing that, yes, the fact that he was wearing that, what did he do? He got in trouble. So you don't have even freedom to wear what you want to wear. Let's watch it for ourselves, inshallah, and let's see how this flipping bald-headed egghead, yeah, he looks like a flipping egghead, yeah, he looks like an absolute egg, yeah, this egghead, how he tried to.
Okay, one more time, Ali Dawah. He looks like what? Egghead? Like, let me count how many times. I think Ali Dawah picks an insult, and he loves his insult so much that he just like sticks with it and says it 10 times. Let me see how many times he calls the man egghead.
Look at this individual, Steve,
Yeah.
who is wearing the Palestinian scarf. The fact that he was wearing that, yes, the fact that he was wearing that, what did he do? He got in trouble. So you don't have even freedom to wear what you want to wear. Let's watch it for ourselves, inshallah, and let's see how this flipping bald-headed egghead, yeah, he looks like a flipping egghead, yeah, he looks like an absolute egg, yeah, this egghead, how he tried to physically kick this guy out his studio. For what reason? Let's watch for ourselves.
Okay, so 4 times he calls the host of the show, he calls him an egghead, a bald egghead. He looks like an egghead, like 4 times he mentioned that. Now this is the screen. So the guy on the right with the chefia with the like that's the pro-Palestinian guy. And the guy on the left, which is the host, he is the pro-Israeli guy. So tell me, looking at the screen, tell me what is the problem with Ali Dawah's insult. Okay, he's calling the man on the left a bald egghead. He looks like an egg, right? Tell me what looking at the screen, what do you notice? What is the problem with Ali Dawah's insult towards the man on the left? He's defending the guy on the right, and he's doing that by calling the man on the left a baldy that looks like an egg. I don't know. This is so this is so stupid. By the way, this is not the main point of this video. This is not the reason why I chose this video. But but what the hell, Ali? Like, what, from all the insults, why would you pick the one that they The guy you're defending also looks the same. He's also bald. He also looks like an egg. They both look like eggs. Why would you, what, from all the insults that you could have picked, why would you go for the appearance when they both have the same look? Like, I don't know what the oh god. Okay, well, yeah, let it go. Oh my god. Okay, egg versus egg. Oh my god. Okay. All right, now let's see what the this debate is.
Got plenty of money to give Ukraine. You've got plenty of money to give Israel.
Okay, so wait, the guy is talking about why do you have so much money to give to Ukraine and Israel? All right, let me go from the very beginning of this guy's argument.
Studio. For what reason? Let's watch for ourselves.
Plenty of money for wars. They've got plenty of money to give Ukraine. You've got plenty of money to give Israel. They could sell an arms to Israel. There you are.
Stupid, Steve. Are you
Well,
completely nuts?
well,
I mean, you
I
come
think
in
we're
here
probably-
dressed in a scarf with a.
It's a
I
Palestinian
support.
scarf.
Do you actually
It's a Palestinian
really
scarf,
support
yeah.
the Palestinians?
Absolutely.
You
I
think
defend
that's
it.
a
I
really
defend
good
it.
What about
I defend,
Hamas? What about Hamas?
I defend the Palestinians' right to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Do you say Hamas it was a resistance?
Sorry.
Yeah, so don't, obviously you should be supporting the Palestinians. You should be supporting Palestinians and Israelis together. The question is not if you support Palestinians. Yes, I'm anti-Hamas, and I'm anti-Islam because I support Palestinians, because these are these are the things that are harming the Palestinians. I also support Israel because I support the Palestinians, because having the nation state of Israel and defending Israel is the best thing for the Palestinians. So don't ask people if they don't be against people for being pro-Palestinian. Be against people for being pro-Hamas, and also understand that many times when people are saying they're pro-Palestinian, that's what they actually mean. They mean that they're pro-Hamas, and you have to ask them if they support Hamas. And when they say I support Palestine's right to defend themselves, that's what they actually mean. They mean that they support Hamas, because defend themselves against what? If you're saying defend themselves against Israel, then that means that you're pro Hamas. But if you say Palestine has a right to defend itself, yes, Palestine does have the right to defend itself against the occupying force that is Hamas. Hamas is the occupying force of Gaza, and Palestinians should be able to defend themselves against Hamas. Right? So that's what I would agree with.
Themselves.
Yeah.
Do you say Hamas it was a resistance?
Sorry. I believe the Israeli government are a fascist government.
See, look at this. This is whataboutism. You're not, when people are asking you, do you think, when he says like Palestinians have the right to defend themselves, when you ask them like, do you think Hamas is that resistance? Do you support Hamas? When they're like, I believe Israel fascist, like that's how you pivot. That's how you pivot the question, because yes, you are a sympathizer. You are a terrorist sympathizer, and you are a coward because you are not able to just say, you're not saying live on air, you're not going to be standing for the ideas that you support, for the values that you are so coward, you can't even answer the question. You have to change the direction. You have to misdirect. You have to, the person is asking, like, okay, you think Palestinians have the right to defend themselves? Is that resistance? Is Hamas that resistance that you're defending? Like, let me go to the talking point. Israel fascist state. This is where I go to as soon as danger, hard question to answer. I'm going to be exposed as a terrorist sympathizer. Let me change the question. Okay. And this is also, by the way, another form of whataboutism. But let's see what other points again. Again, guys, we still have not reached the main point of this video. Ali Dawah says something during this video that is very, very, very revealing. Okay, so let's get to that.
What about Hamas?
I defend the Palestinians' right to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Do you say Hamas it was a resistance?
Sorry. I believe the Israeli government are a fascist government. I believe the Israeli
Could you do
government
me a
are a
favour?
terrorist
It's a democratic
government.
government,
Hang
though,
on.
isn't it? It's a
Oh, so
democracy.
that's okay. So
No,
Hitler was
I'm not having
elected, so
this.
he's democratic, is
Hey,
he?
this is not on.
Well, of
You
course
want to
it's on.
talk rubbish? Go and talk to the BBC or some other.
Well, what do you think about the
organisation.
Hamas?
I don't
What
want you.
what about free speech?
Was
James?
Hamas a religion from
Government.
Israel? That's
Of
a
course
war, isn't
Of
it?
course it has.
Look at this idiot. He's saying the guy is saying if you want to talk rubbish. By the way, I'm not saying whether this guy is doing the best hosting or not. I'm not judging that. But the guest is saying, what about free speech? The host is saying, if you want to speak rubbish, go talk to the BBC or some other media outlets. Like, he doesn't want this on his show. And the other guy is saying, what about free speech? What about free speech? This is exactly what Ali Dawah was referring to. Tell me, guys, do you understand why that's an idiotic response? If one of you guys, if I bring one of you guys up and you say something and I'm not having it and I just kick you out of my show, is that a violation of your free speech rights? Especially, like, he says, go talk on another show. Do people still don't understand that your right to free speech doesn't mean that you are supposed to be welcomed everywhere at all times? What about free speech? What if I just showed up to your house 2 a.m. in the morning and wanted to read, I don't know, the Communist Manifesto to your children? Right? Like, just barged right in, just jumped in through the window, and I just picked up the Communist Manifesto and I'm just reading it. I come and just like read it to your wife and children or your husband. I don't know. Right? If you just like, hey, get the hell out of my house. What if I say, but what about my right to free speech? Guys, the right to free speech does not mean that you have the right to every audience at all times. This is this man's show. If he kicks you out of his show, you still can say things. You can still go say those things another place. Freedom of speech does not mean I have the right to your audience. Freedom of speech doesn't mean that you have to welcome me everywhere at all times, regardless of what I say. What if I go swear at my boss and my boss says, like, okay, you're fired? I'm like, oh, what about the right to my free speech? Okay, yes, you could go swear, but you are not entitled to continue working here. I can fire you because of what you said. If I fire you because of what you said, that does not violate your free speech. You know why it doesn't violate your free speech? Because you have not been arrested for what you said. You haven't been tortured for what you said. You haven't been fined for what you said. You haven't been executed for what you said. The government hasn't been gotten involved in trying to silence you for what you said. This man's show, you have a right to free speech, and this man also has the right to have whoever he wants on his show. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences of your speech. You are free to say whatever you want, and people also have the freedom to react to your speech accordingly, as long as that reaction is not government coming and cracking down on you and finding you or arresting you or torturing you. Your freedom of speech has not been violated. Guys, please understand, this is a very basic concept. So many people don't understand what free speech means. People think like free speech means like I get to go say whatever nonsense everywhere I want to, and you just have to take it. That's not what free speech means. Oh my God. It's so simple. I don't know why still people talk about free speech. Like, oh, you guys are hypocrite. You're such free speech warriors. Like, we ban somebody and you're like, what about my fucking free speech? Like, your free speech has not been violated. I'm not the freaking government. I get to ban you. This is our channel. We get to decide who's here and who's not. If I was the government and I was arresting you, your freedom of speech has been violated. But freedom of speech, it's also my freedom of speech to ban you. It's your freedom of speech to say whatever the frick you want. And it's also my freedom of speech to ban you from the channel. That's my freedom as well. That's my expression. If I was the police and I was arresting you for what you said, then you could cry about your freedom of speech. Oh my God, such morons.
Was Hamas a religion from Israel? That's a war, isn't it?
Of course it has.
Well, no, that's defending them.
No, but guys, freedom of somebody saying freedom of speech is not freedom to spew anything you want. It is actually. Freedom of speech is the freedom to spew anything you want, okay? You can, but I can also react, okay? You have the freedom to spew whatever nonsense, even if it's wrong. Freedom of speech also means you have the freedom to spread hate speech. Hate speech is also freedom of speech. That is your freedom of speech. And it's also my freedom of expression to ban you, to kick you off of my show. Okay, you are free. When I say you have the freedom to spew nonsense, that means the government can't arrest you, the government can't torture you, the government can't execute you, the government can't fine you, and if somebody tries to come and like harm you, the government still has to protect you. That's what it means when you have the freedom of speech. Okay, but it's also my freedom of speech to be like, this is my show, you go, you leave now, I don't want you here. That's also my freedom of speech. That's also my freedom of expression. This is my private show. This is my show. I get to decide who's here. You have not, just because I kick you out of here, just because I don't invite you to my event, that doesn't mean that your expression has been stopped. You could go say it somewhere else.
It's an occupied people.
Well, it is now. It wasn't in 2005.
It can't be self-defense.
They're not occupied.
It wasn't in
not by
2005.
I don't want you.
Wait, what is not self-defense? It's occupied. It can be self-defense. But guys, when they say Israel is occupied force, I want you to remember two things. That basically what they're saying, that Israelis cannot defend themselves. They are not recognizing Israel's right to defend itself, because they're saying anything that can happen to Israelis, and because they're an occupied force, that makes their children and civilians all fair game. That's what they're saying. Okay. And anything Hamas does is fair game. That's what they're saying, because they're an occupying force, including all the civilians. And also remember, when they are calling Israel an occupying force, don't think that they will stop doing that if we ever have a two-state solution, because they consider Israel to be an occupying force simply for existing as a country. Even if Palestine becomes a country one day, which I hope it does at some point, I don't see a path to it right now, but I hope it happens. As long as Israel exists, it will still be an occupying force, and they will still consider it legitimate to attack. The mere existence of Israel, because when they say occupying force, they're not talking about Gaza and West Bank. They're also talking about all those areas where Israel has the right to be. Those are also considered occupied territory according to these people. So when they're saying that they are defending Palestine's right to defend itself against an occupying force, they're talking about full-on genocide, because they will consider this a legitimate resistance until the point where they could completely get rid of Israel. So this is a genocidal talking point. I just want you guys to recognize that.
Well, it is now. It wasn't in 2005.
It can't be self-defense.
They're not occupied.
It wasn't in 2005.
I don't want you in here anymore, Steve, because you are supporting
Right,
the
so you're
enemies of
throwing
this
me
country.
out, James, because you the defender of free speech, are throwing me out.
You've had free speech, but I
You,
don't
the
have to allow
defender
you
of free
to carry on.
speech, are throwing me out.
I am to
Who
be. You won't be
war
able
with
to.
the Palestinian children who you're murdering in their
Do you
thousands.
support the
Do you
collateral
support-
damage? It's a legal
do you
war. It's the
support
lowest
killing
amount of
women and
collateral-
children?
It's the lowest amount of collateral
Genocide in
damage
Gaza.
ever. They were on the
Don't-
Yeah, there is genocide happening in Gaza, and it's being done by Hamas, who's putting the civilians, including the children, they're using them as human shields. And yeah, I mean, I don't call it an act of genocide. It is a war crime, but it is a war crime that is being committed by Hamas. Okay, so yes, I do condemn the killing of children and civilians. I don't say women and children, because I think that's a very dismissal of men being killed. So I know, saying, oh, they're killing women and children, I consider that insulting to both men and women when you say women and children are being killed. That's why, if you notice, I say civilians, including children, instead. Because when you say women and children, that's insulting to men, because makes it seem like as if men being killed is not as important. And it's also insulting to women, because you're putting them in the same category as children. That's why I think like both men and women should be insulted when they're like, oh, you're killing women and children. Yeah, okay, we care about the men dying as well, okay? So I say they're killing civilians, including children. That's what I say.
Support the collateral damage. It's a legal war. It's the lowest
killing
amount of
women and
collateral-
children.
It's the lowest amount of collateral
Genocide in
damage
Gaza.
ever. They were on the
You don't know
Nazi
your history.
side. You don't know your
You
history.
don't. Britain's a terrorist state. America's
Oh, well,
a
you think
terrorist
that, then?
state, and Israel is a terrorist
You do
state.
Okay, so you don't even understand what a terrorism means. When you say Israel is a terrorist state, United States is a terrorist state, United Kingdom is a terrorist state, you don't understand anything about anything at all, because that's not how it works. We don't have terrorist states. Even even countries like the Islamic Republic of Iran are not categorized as terrorist states, because the definition of the terrorist organization or group means, like, the way that it's defined, what it means to be terrorist. You cannot be like, it does not include states. So even as wrong as you are about the nature of the activities of United States or UK or Israel, let's say even if they were involved in terrorist activities, even then you would not be able to call them terrorist states. You like, when it comes to Islamic Republic of Iran, the way it's categorized is a state sponsor of terror. They cannot be terrorists and states as well, because that's not how we define terrorism. So maybe if you want to make baseless accusations, at least get the definitions right. Maybe at least call them state sponsors of terror, which they're not. But if they were doing terrorism, that's what they would be called. We don't have terrorist states. Even the Islamic Republic of Iran, we call them a state sponsor of terror. We don't call them terrorist state. But let's continue.
Terrorist state.
Right, come on.
James, you're trying to assault me, James. You're trying to assault me, James.
I'm an old man.
No, it's not assaulting. This is his show. He's asking you to leave, and you're resisting. This is a private area. This is not a public area. If you're not welcome, you're supposed to leave, or else you're trespassing, right? I wouldn't recommend him doing himself. I would recommend him calling security. But this is their area. This is a private space. If they want you to leave, you gotta leave. He should have called security.
Well, James, don't please.
Well, do what I ask and go.
I'm not going to go. And you won't be able to remove me, James. So please don't.
Why? What are you going to do?
I'm making a statement. I'm making a statement here for
A
Palestine.
statement of rubbish. Just talking rubbish.
for
Take your
Palestine.
book and go out and support Palestine. I know you want to hit me.
I'm not going to hit you,
No,
James.
you're not. You're
Not at all.
absolutely right.
Not in
No.
Palestine.
From the river to the sea, genocide and
All right.
Look at the attitude. He is clearly saying, and I'll be honest with you, I'll stick by these flipping words. Israel is 1,000 times worse than Hamas with the atrocities that they committed. With us religious people, we are strategically not consistent. We are morally consistent. As Muslims, our religion tells us to condemn anybody for killing innocent people, like Allah says in the Quran, which is very
You haven't condemned Hamas? You've never condemned Hamas? You never condemn Hamas.